I'm Sandy Powell, and welcome to the Roundtable. First, let me say to you all, Happy Father's Day to all of the wonderful fathers out there in Columbus and the surrounding area. I want to introduce my panel today of fathers that's going to speak to our topic today of fathers and son relationship. I have here Michael Ellison, Joseph Anthony, J.R. Anderson, and my very own Prathan Powell. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Yes.
I want to put a question right out there, something right off the top, and ask you the question of what do you think it is to be a father? Just off the top, just what is it to be a father? What does it mean to be a father?
Well, number one, I think a father has to be one of authority in his home, and he loves his family, loves his wife, he loves his children, and most of all, he has to love God. And he has to be able to lead that home under the admonition of God.
Good. Sir?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's a blessing to be able to be a father.
Yes.
Because everybody does not have that opportunity, especially if it's a biological child.
Right.
So I think it's not something that should be taken lightly. And I also think it's a person who that give guidance, a mentor, give direction, a teacher, a nurturer. That's something which we don't talk about very much, is a father being that nurturing person for the child, whether it's a boy or girl.
Right.
They can provide that nurturing.
For me, I believe a father is the ultimate role model. I've always been the one to try to place that into my sons, that they can look to me as a role model. I want to be their Michael Jordan. I want to be whatever they want in life. I want to be that first and foremost. And that's one thing that even as a son, I look to my father as. I wanted to mirror every image and everything that he did. So it's important to me as a father to always be that role model in the home.
Okay.
You know, for me, it's a twofold. You know, for me, it's a spiritual father and then a natural father. Now, the natural father with my son is giving him guidance and direction and help him follow the pattern that God has for his life through my ability to teach him, as Mr. Mike Ellison spoke very well of. And also, as a spiritual father, I give care for men and women of my ministry, but puts me in the limelight of making sure their spiritual life is up to par. Right. So that is the twofold part of my life as a father.
I wanted to jump in and say, as father, how do you find the balance to be able to give your sons guidance and balance it, and not going too far to the left or to the right? How do you find the balance to giving advice or guidance to your sons? Because, you know, sometimes you can get a little thrown off with what they want and what they need. How do you find the balance there?
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, for me, it's coming in the neutral zone. Being a father, but not being his friend.
That's good.
Just being his father, but yet being able to have friendly atmosphere where he's comfortable with me, and to be able to give him some understanding about life principles. My son, J.R., he's a basketball player. I'm a cyclist. Well, recently, a couple years ago, I bought him a bike to ride along with me, and we try to bring that together. Ain't no time we do ride, but we have two different directions, and yet we understand who we are to each other.
That's good. Good.
And I think the number one thing you did mention, sir, was the friendship portion. Yes, you're a friend to your son or your daughter, but you have to know, and he has to know, and you have to explain your role as that father, what your responsibility is to him. Grant you, and that's what happens, I think, a lot of society today. We sometimes get a little too friendly with our sons and daughters, and that throws off that balance, because now they thinking we just buddy-buddy.
Right.
And I think you got the right thought. Be friendly with your son, but not friends.
Yes.
In order to maintain the relationship as to mentor-mentee, or someone that you can pour to or give to. And somehow or another, we've gotten a little twisted with that friendship.
Well, I think part of that may be because sometimes trying to be that mentor, that teacher, that friend, and kind of, I think sometimes when we want our children to talk to us and share things with us and not be afraid to come, I think when we get to the point that we don't want to disappoint them when they ask for something, then that's when that friend thing starts.
Yes.
Right.
That's my belief.
That possible compromising. maybe.
Right. It compromises what you're really trying to do because they need to see the authority part,
Right.
but also they need to see that person who can be empathetic with them and have a listening ear to what you have to say.
Right.
You know, but it doesn't mean that you can treat me like I'm one of your buddies.
Right.
Yes.
And I think sometimes with the compromising thing, because we want our children to love us,
Yeah.
we want to, or we're thinking about how it was for us as, in your case, sons. You know, we're trying to one up the father that we were raised by. So we try to do to our sons maybe something more and find ourselves maybe compromising where we should hold a hard no or a hard yes. We start compromising because we try to be lenient. Do we find ourselves there maybe?
Let me, as the rookie, let me take a sip.
You good. You good.
Come on,
Yeah,
Ricky.
you need a drink there.
There's definitely the veterans are very talking because, my sons are 4 and 2. So I'm definitely a young father. And when they was talking about the compromising, everybody always talks about Leo, my youngest, that he gets me. He gets whatever he wants and all that. I believe I have established something there. But
Yes, you
I
have.
definitely see what they mean about the balance because I wanted most times it's because I want to give him everything. I love my relationship with him, and I want to make sure he knows I'm there for him. But him at a young age, he's different than Jeremiah. He's a little bit edgy, and he's just different.
You don't take no jump.
Yeah, so he sticks to his roots. He sticks to his guns about what he wants, and he's adamant about it. Where my oldest, I can sway him left or right. So with Leo, it is about catching that balance, and I am learning that as a young father that I have to be able to say no at times.
And sometimes, when you're young fathers, it's just you're tired. And so it's easy to give into the no,
Yes, Lord.
as opposed to standing the hard ground and just, okay, because if he's in the corner, you got to stand there and make sure he's good to go.
Right.
So you got to watch him in the corner.
Right.
So now you both are in timeout.
Right, and then he's not standing in the corner like he's supposed to. He's looking at me, I'm looking at him. And I'm like, man, just come on, let's just watch basketball.
So then guess what Leo learns?
Yeah.
Compromise.
He learns that if I just do it
I hold
my
out.
way, if I hold out,
Right.
that he's going to give in to my, and so there goes the compromise.
Right.
Yeah.
Which when he gets older as a teenager, what's
I'm gonna have to follow what God said, put my hands on him. That's in one of them scriptures.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
But I think,
Proverbs.
Talking about the
with
five
that
folk.
situation, it's kind of like I think we lose that balance when we feel like we got to give, we want them to have certain things.
Most times.
And sometimes it's hard for us to say no.
yeah.
And I used to have to say that to my son. Well, I would say to myself, even though I have the money, I'm not going to get that for him.
Right.
Because he needs to understand you don't get everything you ask for. The world don't work like that.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think when we get into buying kids all this name brand stuff, in my view and my experience in working with fathers, it's about you when you buy all of that.
Right.
This is what I got my kid. This is what my kid wearing.
So it's the father's promo.
Because the kid does not know anything about
Right.
that.
Right.
And I think we have to remember children automatically know how to manipulate.
There you go.
Yes, Lord.
They can manipulate you.
Right.
They don't know that's what they're doing, but that's exactly what they're doing.
Right.
And if we are not careful and we are not set where we can have that balance, they gonna get us every time.
Every time. I'm gonna just go a little bit deeper into what you're talking about as far as the manipulation, because I'm gonna take it to a situation where you have a broken home, and you have father and mother separate,
Exactly.
and they're raising them two different homes. Then we know that the compromising can happen because we want to be the good parent. We want to be the loved parent. And so sometimes the children will manipulate the parents one against the other, especially if the parents are feuding and not getting along, because now the kids can sit with the other parent and talk about the other parent, and the kids just bat it back and forth to see what they can get from both sides.
Now, let me
Go
speak
ahead.
on that. Now, I wasn't fortunate to have that in my household.
Right.
I had a mom, I guess, who was the host of this show here, that didn't play no games in
None.
that. But what I did recognize when my biological father and you were divorced, it was the tear. It was definitely two-sided. It wasn't. It was two-sided coin. It was two different lifestyles, and for children, it's a hard adjustment. But at the same time, like you said, that manipulation can be placed in there, because where if I went to my father's house, he had more rules. It was stricter, but you were more laid back, you know, and we would want to be more with you than him, because we know with him he's a little strict. He's gonna be on this a little bit more, and we will play off that sometimes.
Right.
Especially if we was in a bad crunch, you know, hey, we're going to mama house, you know, we can't stay with dad, because if he's gonna have us, you know, cutting
At that
grass,
moment.
you know, doing pull-ups, you know, he was ex-military.
Yeah.
He was gonna have
So
his
people-
moment.
right. So most times kids, they will go with the one that's not as aggressive.
Right.
And that's why sometimes in co-parenting, both parents really have to be on one accord when it comes to it, because the kids, they can see that confusion.
Right.
And even though they're using it at that great moment in that time in their lives, it really cripples them down the road.
Right.
Because they never see a standard. They just see one way and another way. They don't see the way.
Right. Because teenagers, at the time that they're teenagers, they just want their way.
Right.
They don't care what the outcome of
Right.
it is. They don't care the detriment to what
Right.
their decision is.
Right.
They just, at this moment, I just want my way.
Right.
And so,
You would turn on your mama, your daddy. You would turn on anybody just to get to whatever you're trying to do as a teenager.
Right.
So in co-parenting, and it's so, you know, it's prevalent now in our society, co-parenting, for whatever reason. But the parents have to be on one accord. They have to be on the same wavelength, because the kids, they lose sight of what life is when they see one way this and then one is not, especially in the spiritual side. You know, one parent is in church faithful, then the other one is not living according to. So it sways your children so much, and people don't understand is that cripples them in their lifestyle when they get older.
right.
And I would even venture to say that for some kids, I think it caused them to be bitter.
Right.
And they carry that over into their adult life. And co-parenting can be a great thing, but I think, and I've experienced that, having divorced, my son was 3, and of course, being a boy, he leaned more toward me because I did things with him. It
Right.
wasn't going shopping and hanging out with his
At the
aunts
nail
and
shop,
the,
right.
the aunts and all of that.
Right.
So he had a different perspective. Plus, he was where he could play with other kids.
Right.
So when you have rules in your house and rules in the other, it does cause friction. Because parents are not able to get away from your feelings toward the other
There
person
you go.
and look at the child.
Right. Right.
And in the midst,
Say,
And I think that too, in the sense of that, with the father, sometimes we mothers don't understand the importance of that father's role in the son's life.
Exactly.
And for our feelings, however we may feel about it, we actually sometimes we mothers sometimes we actually cause division and divide in our children toward fathers
Right.
because of our own personal thing that we're having or whatever, because we couldn't get along with dad. You know, we couldn't
Right.
get along with the father. But it's to our child's demise that
Right.
we do
Right.
this. And if we just learn to, like you said, look to the child, look to the son, and see what that need is, it would be to the child's best interest.
Because what the other issue comes up is that if the child have a better situation with one parent than they do with the other parent, then that parent thinks that, oh, now you love him or her more than you do me.
Right.
See, then you get into that battle.
But that's where grown-ups need to grow up.
right.
And
That's where grown-ups need to grow up. But
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
another show.
Yeah.
But
what I
that's the
was
show
gonna
we're
say.
going to talk about that.
In the
with-
midst of
with
all of it,
grown-ups
the-
need to grow up.
that's what I was going to say. In the midst of all of it, the parents, the grown-ups, have to get out of their own selves and really be parents.
Right.
It's hard enough, I mean, really and truly, it's already hard enough on a child for us to burden the child with our foolishness,
Right.
with our stuff.
Right.
And we'll do that sometimes. We'll throw our garbage out on our kids. And we realize it at the same time, but okay, well, I feel this way, so I'm going to make him or her feel like mama don't love him or daddy don't love him.
Right. How important is it that you're in your son's life? How important is that? Can I start with Pastor Anthony? You
Very
being the
important.
eldest.
Very important. Like I said earlier, even with sons, if you're not there and you're not communicating with them, number one, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're trying to do in their life. If you don't be that lead, if you don't be that authority, if you don't be that mentor, you don't be that person right there for them with honesty, straightforwardness, and truth, you know, it's no telling. Me, myself, I've had a son that's incarcerated. And maybe because when I used to be in the military, I was so military structured. I was ready to go gung-ho in the field, but sometime I wasn't there. Maybe when he needed me, I was in Timbuktu or whatever place like that. So it's very important that you be there. And every time you get a moment, even when you get old and out on their own, you got to take time. Hey, come in, let's go to lunch and let's go do this. Let's do something together. Let's do something. It's
To
important.
rebuild or build
you
what
got
you feel
to.
like
you
might
got
have
to
been
keep.
lacking.
You got to keep that intact. I can remember the days, like I said, when we was younger. Me and my son, we get up early in the morning, we go fishing, or maybe even camp out, like we did in the field, and fish, catch the fish, cook and fry them right there on the water.
Wow.
That's that's the type of relationship we had. But
Yes,
through the
something.
years,
You haven't saw the house off.
yeah, we had no hot sauce problem. I can't deal with the hot sauce. I can't deal with the hot sauce. But that's the type of relationship we had. And me being in the military, in certain places I was stationed, I was in units where you had to get up and go at that particular time, that particular moment. We kind of got away from that. And as a result, he kind of got away from me, I kind of got away from him. And as a result, sorry to say, he ended up getting incarcerated.
Yeah. I like what you said. You said, I got away from him, and he got away from me, and he got in trouble.
Yeah.
And you know, and the thing is that you're owning that, and that is priceless, sir. I want to say that's priceless because that is the stuff that you take to rebuild a relationship. That's the glue.
Yeah.
That's the glue, you know, and it's not like detailed. You didn't say how you got away, how he got away. You just said
Was you all right?
y'all got away from each other, and somehow you have found your way back because it's never too late.
No, ma'am. Never.
It's never too late to get that glue and start to piece this thing back together. I'm gonna go down the line here. Go ahead, sir.
For me, it's very important because, one, how I grew up, and to be different and want my son to have more than what I actually got in terms of involvement.
Right.
Yes, he was there, but there were no involvement. Physical, emotional, any otherwise. So for me, if I don't guide it, the wrong person may guide it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's why it's important.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had an experience with him when he was in the 4th grade. He the kids had told him something, and that's why I was grateful to have the relationship that I had, that he could come to me about anything.
Right.
And so he said, well, that's not what they said. I said, well, I'm telling you what is correct. This is what I do every day.
Right.
So you can go back and tell them that your dad said, da, 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 da.
Right.
So, I know he gonna hear somebody else, but I want to be the one to give him the correct information,
Right.
because they may not. So I think it's extremely important, and for them to become the man that they supposed to be, the man that they have been called and ordained to be by God, the father got to do that.
Gotta be.
Got you.
If it's not the biological, some other person that is a father. A man has to do that.
Validate him.
Validate it.
Right.
Good
Right.
job. Good job.
Prophet.
It's very important that the father be in the son's life. In my case, it's different, but it's important. And I found it to be even more important as my successor, as Pastor Anderson is to have that time together and make time for each other. Other than Sunday morning and Wednesday night when we see each other, I come to the house, we eat barbecue, but just have some quality time.
Right.
And that's something that I know we need to work on. As earlier, when you haven't had that, you haven't had that example, you don't know how to do that. You just say, okay, if you need something, just let me know. Are you good? Yeah. How much it is? Yeah, it's go. Okay, that's done. Go home now. I'm back. I'm going back to mama. You know. So, but I really wanted to develop that for us. It meant the world to me. Yeah.
You want to tap in there?
Yeah, for me, I was really at awe with him with that transparency and that truthfulness is something that is great value, and that's the same thing I want to be to my sons. You know, I never, as much as I want to be that Superman, I know that at some point they will see me weak, and I just always wanted to be there for my sons. I mean, to the death. I love them, and there's nothing more than satisfying than being able to validate that they have a father that loves them.
Right.
And like I said, you know, my biological father has great qualities.
He does.
He did. I mean, you talking about feeling secure in a place. I never felt like somebody could touch me with my daddy. You know, and he was organized, well trained. I mean, if you needed a sniper, I know he had to do something out there. He wouldn't move for 3 days. So, I mean, he had great qualities, and to this day, that's what really keeps him in my heart, because I know that he's a great man. It's just for this reason we haven't been able to connect.
Right.
And my prayer is always that one day that we do.
Amen.
And I thank God that He has placed a man such as you know, Prophet here, who I've always called dad since day one. Even when my dad was in my life, he was like the second dad. I would go over and eat up all his cereal. And, you know, great cereal. He had name brand cereal.
We had
Real Cheerio.
we had Fruit Limp.
Don't knock generic.
Fruitos.
Don't knock generic.
Fruitos.
But
Yeah.
I really love this man as my own father.
Amen.
And now I feel like I have two fathers. You know, I'm really waiting, and I really want my other father to be in my life. So that's my prayer, and it pushes me into what I have with my own son.
Thank you.
That's good. Wow.
Before we go to the next question, and I think my final question, I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back. We'll be back in a moment. So to each one of you fathers, happy Father's Day to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and chatting with me for so long, but I know it's just a ton of information
It's needed.
that is going to be put out there for people to gravitate to, relate to, and see themselves. You may even go back yourselves and watch it and maybe revisit some things in your own personal lives as well, and maybe see some things, some changes that might need to be made, or pat yourself on the back. But in the meantime, I just want to say to my listening audience, thank you for being with us here at the Round Table. I'll see you all next week. Hi, I'm Sandy Powell, the host of The Roundtable, where we'll have discussions that are relevant to us all. See, I understand the importance of communication. It breaks down barriers and it gives us understanding. And if you're about real solutions to real problems and you want to have real talk, meet me here at The Roundtable every Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. at WYBU. I'll see you there.
World Changes Tabernacle, led by Prophet Prathan Powell, is a word-based church committed to seeing you win. We're called to create a loving and caring community for all people and work together for justice and peace in our world. Recognizing that our spiritual journeys are all different, we strive to be respectful and inclusive concerning each individual's relationship with God. We believe that Christianity is a lifestyle, and we're committed to teaching, learning, and living the Word of God. It's more than a song, more than a shout, more than a dance. Whether you're a committed follower of Christ or just curious about God, you are invited to visit with us. Give us a call or check out our website for more information or to see our sermon times.